Welcome to this month's community meeting, October 2025. We should be like wearing costumes or something. I don't know. Cool, let's get started. So as usual, we're gonna start with some introductions, news on what has been shipped. I think we have one or two demos, the current feature work, some community news, and lastly, some Q&A. So starting with the introductions, flying. Again, this slide always gets me. This is the team, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide because I'm going to go to the next slide. We have a new team member. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, putting you in the spot.
Yes, sure. So hi folks, I'm Anurag. I am recently joined as a contractor as SDK engineer for OpenFGA SDKs. Before this, I was working at a mixed reality startup where we built mixed reality experiences, mostly backend stuff there. Before that, I was working at a payment gateway where we did payment routing. Uh, I was in RTO intelligence for some time, and I also started my open source journey back then. So I used to maintain a couple of Redis client projects, and I got introduced to OpenFGA when I was working in my last role while building an RBAC system for them. So during that, well, I started to contribute and like go through the code, and yeah, this is where I am right now.
Nice. Well, welcome to the team. Looking forward to work together. I also really like your username on GitHub.
Yeah, we usually refer to him to Soul Pancake internally. Now
Oh, Pancake.
we learned that we need to use Anuraj, so that's just better. And so it's the first time we can hire someone from the community, which is great. Hopefully that can happen more often. And it's also great, of course, for us because yeah, Anuraj has already a lot of knowledge about the product and can onboard way faster than people who don't. So pretty happy to have him here. So welcome again.
Nice. All right. Whoops. Not sure if we have anyone new on the call. Let me double check. I don't think we do. But if there's anyone new who would like to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit more about your name, where you're based, why are you interested in OpenFGA, where are you in your adoption journey, or if you have any questions for us, feel free to let us know. I see a few people that are not muted, and I'm wondering if they want to talk.
Yeah, I recognize a few names, but I don't recognize others. So if someone wants to introduce themselves, it would be great. So
we're such like it's like we see new names. Introduce yourself. No, you're not obligated to, but if you want
yeah,
to.
you are not. You are not.
Okay. Feel free to drop some info in the chat if you want to, or you can connect with us on the OpenFGA Slack channel on the CNCF Slack, which I will talk about later. Let's continue. Let's talk a little bit about what just shipped. I think Daniel, you wanted to talk a little bit about this part.
Yep, I can mention some of these things here. So just shipped .NET Standard. Oh, first of all, I'm Daniel. I'm on the FJ team at Okta. So we just shipped the .NET Standard 2.0 support for the .NET SDK in version 0.7. And so this is kind of like it's a big deal. So now that we support .NET Standard 2.0, this expands the compatibility with entire .NET ecosystem. So now, there's compatibility with .NET Framework apps, like .NET Framework 4.8. So prior to that, it was only .NET, which was prior, it was called .NET Core, and then just they dropped the core. But .NET Framework is older, which is like Windows only. So now there's it really expands like the compatibility base. There were some other small features that also went in. Then there is also we ship support for per request custom HTTP headers in SDK API calls. So now there's was it support in Go, Python, Java, and Python, Java, and JavaScript were already implemented. We just finished Go, so it's been documented now. .NET is coming soon. So now clients can send any per request custom header. So, common examples, X correlation ID, X forwarded for IP address of the source, the originator, X actor ID. So these can be captured at like the infrastructure layer. Example, if you have API gateway, service mesh, load balancer in front, and then those networking devices can send those to centralized logging like Elk Stack or Elastic Stack. So this is something that's can be was it pretty useful if you're trying to do this type of correlation and tracing, from across like a whole microservices architecture. Last one is there support for write conflict options in the Go SDK. Tyler, I don't know if you want to speak about the feature, like now that we have it in the Go SDK, the other SDKs are coming, but you could describe the feature from the core
Yeah,
server?
I could touch on it a little bit. The whole goal is if you were to write a duplicate tuple, you would get an error, and that can be problematic whenever you're loading a lot of tuples in. You don't necessarily care about this. You're just wanting to know what the end state would become. And so in order to kind of smooth the developer experience of that, we provided the option where you could send that parameter of ignore duplicates, and it would just treat it as a no op, and in order to improve the import experience.
We also shipped a new version of the CLI, right? That version that is pointed there was shipped an hour ago. Thanks, Ragged, for that. And we didn't add it to the slide. So
I mean, it was
and
an
so
hour
now
ago.
when you do when you import tuples from the CLI, now you won't get errors if they are duplicated, and that was pretty annoying. So now that not gonna happen anymore.
All right.
Yep. And there's if you go to, I think it's like how to add tuples on the documentation, there are two new sections, one for transactional rights and the other one for ignoring duplicates. So should be able to see that on the documentation page as well.
Awesome. Anything else? Nope. Okay, moving forward. We're gonna get started with the first demo. Go ahead, you unmuted very fast.
Yep. So more than a demo, I would call this as a teaser trailer of one of our best release of the year coming out to you soon. So we've been working on list objects improvement strategically for the past few months. If you're one of our users, you would have seen at least 5 to 6x, 5 to 7x improvement in some of the models for list objects from one of our previous releases that happened 2 months ago. You also have to enable the experimental flag, and that's a feature that we delivered. As a continuation of that feature, and to actually improve on top of that feature, we are changing the architecture in how we approach list objects. We are currently using a lot more pipelines, which improves our asynchronous story. Basically, you wouldn't have a lot of locks and contentions, which improves our performance. So the early results I can share is we are seeing the baseline improve 2x from our initial 5 to 7x improvement. And we're also adding support for recursion and infinite weight use cases. So recursions and infinite weights are models where you have multiple hierarchies that are dynamically growing and increasing in depth. So in these cases, the performance definitely get affected depending on how deep you're going and your data distribution. So this is improving the performance for those scenarios as well. So that's some context I wanted to provide. You will be seeing this performance improvement soon, and we'll be happy to hear your feedback on that.
Nice. Thank you.
And this is another one from our team, but that is much more active because we've already merged this to our main branch. We will be cutting out a release soon. And in this release, if you enable our check optimization flag, which we'll mention in our documents, you will get a feature called adaptive check resolver. So at the end of the day, FGA is a database, and a database can resolve the results in multiple different ways. We provide you with different set of algorithms to choose from for different use cases. But the problem is we cannot know for a fact which specific optimized algorithm we have is best for your particular use case. So what we ended up doing was we had implemented an adaptive check resolver. So if we can go to the next slide, what this adaptive check resolver does is it tries to find the fastest way to solve the problem for your specific data set and your specific model. In FGA, you can have infinite ways of designing a model, and you can store data in infinite different ways. So we used something called Thompson sampling, and this is a classic explore versus exploit problem, where you will explore different strategies, and when you find a best strategy among them, you try and exploit that a lot so that you're getting the best performance out of choosing the algorithm. So now that you've chosen the best algorithm and you're exploiting it, let's say your data set changes or probably even your model changes, what our adaptive check resolver does is it goes and ensures that you're still using the best possible optimized algorithm for your case and tries to choose the continue exploring even when you're exploiting the best algorithm, so that if there is a change in the situation and if there is a better algorithm that can be chosen, the algorithm tries and adopts that. So as you might understand, these optimizations will be applicable for specific cases with specific optimizations we have. We will obviously improve and increase the number of optimizations we provide. And that's a feature that we already have merged in main, and we'll be sharing more information on how you can enable it in your server. If you can go to the next slide, some of our early results, you can see how the stark difference is right when we enable the adaptive check resolver. So ignore the line there. Actually, you can see that right when we enabled it, the line just went flat. The P99 started to understand which is the best algorithm for which particular use cases, and it just chose that specific stuff. Now I can say some numbers, which is our scenarios show that there is sometimes 7x improvement, sometimes 23x improvement. But as you might know, it depends on the model and it depends on the data distribution. But in real world scenarios, this is a very good case. If you can see multiple x improvement in your model, that'll be good. So this is also behind our feature flag and experimental flag, and we'll be cutting out a release soon for you folks to adopt. So yeah, that's our adaptive check resolver, and thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it would be very nice if anyone in this call decides to enable this and wants to share their results. That would be kind of cool to see how much it has improved for them.
A question there, Umam. This is
Yep,
already
I
merged
can.
main, and it's already released, actually, right?
I have to check if we had.
Because
So our last release was 9 days ago. I have to check if it went in the 9 days release. But yeah.
So no, our last release for OpenFGA was a few days ago.
Okay.
So we released 9 days ago. So I think
Yes.
that should be already included there with the experimental, with the optimization flag, but we can just double check and we can make a note in the channel.
Great. We can double check and get back. The
Okay.
other thing is there is a question on the chat, and if I may answer that, Gurleen, some of the tests or the test that we have shows that there is a drastic drop in the resource utilization of batch check. The performance improvement is there, but what actually surprised us even more is the amount of resource that was utilized has dropped by, I don't want to say out number without confirming it, but we saw significant drop in the number of resources that we use, which is CPU and memory utilization, basically.
Just to follow up to that, if that's true, does that mean that now you can do, because we ran into this problem way back, and I see some people ran into this problem, is there is a limit of parallel checks that you can do with OpenFGA with a single instance. Does this optimization means that you can do more parallel checks at a given time?
So currently, I think we have max configurations that can be tweaked. So that is limited by that. But as you said, you can change this configuration and run more parallel requests because your resource optimization, resource utilization has reduced. To give you some context, when the request is trying to explore, there might be increase in P99s. But when you are sustaining peak requests, these requests are probably 1 in 1,000 or 1 in hundreds of requests that tries to explore if there is better strategy. But your rest of your numbers, actually, you can see P99 going down. So it's actually 1 in thousands of requests that tries to explore the problem, and then it finds the optimal algorithm and tries to exploit it to the max.
Okay, makes sense.
Adrian?
Yes, so just to, because there were questions where it is available, it is available as of v1.10.0. To enable that, you have to turn on the experimental flag. So if you want to do it, it's behind experimental flag. So you can strongly encourage all of you folks to try it out and see how it improves our life.
Something that is interesting is that now we have mainly two different algorithms today that we are going to pick based on this resolver. It can happen that you start OpenFGA and you make a single check and we pick one of those that may be the best one for you or not, right? So this will make like the tests that are not real scenarios tests more difficult to measure, because it might happen that, yeah, you do a check, two checks, and it's slow, and then you do 1,000 checks and it becomes fast, right? I don't know how many checks do we need to make a decision, and that may be something we need to document when we publish the documentation for the feature, which is, okay, how this works from that perspective. But yeah, you'll see the results when you have enough load for us to make a decision here.
Yeah. And if we have some time to go into a bit of a technical details, the interesting part is it even doesn't depend on a single request. So each request takes multiple paths to resolve the problem. Each of this resolution tries different exploration and exploitation. So even within your single request, the impact of this is not much because it is the single path traversal that tries to find the optimized algorithm. So you wouldn't be seeing impact on requests that are exploring, because you would not know which requests are exploring, and it is happening at the traversal level rather than the request level, to give a bit more technical context there. But yeah, feel free to try it out. Let us know. We're always happy to hear your feedback and would love to work with you on this.
All right, moving on to some community news, talking about where we're gonna be and so on. So Sam's gonna be at All Things Open, I think it's yes, in North Carolina next week. So if you're, in that area and you wanna catch up with Sam, feel free to join him there. Then we have KubeCon plus Cloud Native Con North America. We're going to have Alice and Jose talking about design patterns for consistent centralized authorization. And where is this? It says North America, Atlanta. Okay, Georgia. Nice. November 13th. Awesome. And
I'll also
then
be there to help answer questions at the booth. So
oh,
come stop
nice.
by.
Tyler will be there. Is that Tyler? Because I can't see who's
Yes,
talking. Okay,
Tyler.
Tyler will be there too. This is coming from me, so and this is specific for anyone who speaks Spanish. But if anyone's watching this and they know Spanish and they want to learn more about OpenFGA, I released a course on LinkedIn about OpenFGA, and you can learn, from setting it up to how to implement different permissions to, yeah, all sorts of things. So feel free to go over there, take a look. And if you do check it out, let me know. All right.
Yeah, I guess you can also watch it with subtitles in English, so if you prefer.
Probably, yes. That's a good call out.
So
Okay.
yeah, this is a shout out for some people in the room here. So Read AI, Andrew, and Sam are here, have been using OpenFGA for a while, and one of their data scientists was in the list of OpenAI customers who have used 1 TB of tokens. So it's pretty awesome to see someone, and they are using this with data that is in OpenFGA. So they use this for a RAG use case when they check data for permissions in OpenFGA before sharing that with the users, which was pretty cool to see. So congrats, with AI team for
Congrats.
cool. Next one. And then on the CNCF incubation process, we've been sharing how we've been going through that process. We keep moving forward. Now we are in the following column in the project board, and which is they are the technical committees on reviewing it and then opening for public comments for a couple of weeks. And I don't know if after that it gets approved or not, but we are getting close to getting to incubation. And it will be awesome if we can do it in a month before we get to KubeCon and announce it more formally there. But I don't know if that's going to happen. But still, it's going to be very important for everyone here because hopefully it get us more visibility, more people contributing, more companies trying to help us pushing it forward, and which is what we need if we want to make this a successful open source project in addition of just a successful project, right? So if it needs to be good in CNCF and get to graduation, we need a couple of companies working with us leading the project. So that's the next step. It will take us some time to get to graduation. Hopefully we get at some moment.
All right. News on the roadmap. Who wants to take this one? Andres?
Yeah, so we shared a few already. So in order duplicate rights is close to be finished. The feature is done. We are working on SDKs. Keep working on performance improvements for ListObject and check. So this feature that Pubam shared also helps on check. And we do an internal research on the problem with search with large cardinality relationships. We still don't know if we'll be able to share that or not, to open source that or not. It's an open question for us. We hopefully will, but we still don't know. And then more work on multiple SDKs. So that's what we're working on. And you'll see more work on performance. For us, it's super important. It's kind of the most important feature for a system like FGA is performance. So we keep working on that and adding a lot of UX improvements here and there.
All right. Last but not least, if you want to support the project, share about it, start the repo on GitHub. Let us know how you're using it, all sorts of things. If you want to share how you're using it, how your team implemented it, feel free to do so. Join the community. You can go to openfga.devdocs community and you'll see a list of, everywhere we are, like Twitter, LinkedIn, the CNCF Slack channel, and so on and so forth. I see a question saying, do you have any course in English? Is it possible to share the link here? I do not have a course in English. I will share the link nonetheless. But yeah, I would love to have an English one.
In the YouTube channel for OpenFGA, there's a
Yes.
there's a few things that might be interesting. The most, I think, interesting one is a playlist with modeling examples. That is what people adopting the project struggle at the beginning. And I'll share the link to the modeling guides playlist that you might find very useful as an introduction. There's a lot of content in YouTube. That's probably the challenge, that that's a lot. But there are a lot of presentations from companies using OpenFGA, from us, but this one that I shared that has the modeling guidelines will be a good way to get introduced to FGA.
Yeah, the good thing about the modeling guides as well is that they kind of like, they start very simple and they get more and more complex as you go. So it's a good kind of tutorial to follow.
And there's also going to share that too, but we have a repository with all of those examples. So you can also use that as a way to follow the playlist and the modeling guide. So this one has all the steps by examples that are explained there are also as FGA models in that repository.
Thank you, Andres, for sharing that. Yeah. Lastly, if you're using OpenFGA and you're not in the adopters page, add yourself, because, why not? It would be nice to know you're using it. And I think that's it for now, for this month. Do we have any, did I stop sharing? Yes. Do we have any questions, open questions for the team? Questions you have about using OpenFGA? Want to introduce yourself? Anything? No? Then, if there are no questions, I guess I'll see you all next month with more news and more features and more performance improvements.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Cool.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
And yeah, see you soon.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody.